Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. This is chapter 2 of Forensic Ballistics and Firearms Identification, entitled Scientific Equipment Used in Firearms Identification. So, introduction. So, by means of this equipment and with a qualified man, so the police and investigators will be able to solve the crime. So whatever evidence gathered from the crime scene will serve as the missing link for the investigation. Of course, it is very important that a crime should be established and evidence will be gathered. And of course, it will be processed sa laboratory in order to identify the factors and the characteristics of firearms. So one of the equipment which is very important is the bullet comparison microscope. So the bullet comparison microscope is designed to permit the firearm examiner to differentiate whether yan ay fired bullet or fired shell by observing in a single microscopic field. Fired bullet and fired shells are examined and compared in either intermarriage or juxtaposition. It will be shown later what is intermarriage and what is juxtaposition. So it was introduced by Dr. Calvin H. Goddard on April 1925. So it is one of the important contribution of Calvin H. Goddard, being held as the father of firearms identification. So as shown in the slides, mayroon tayong tinatawag na juxtaposition and intermarriage. So juxtaposition is a position of two specimens that we are looking at to orient with the characteristics or microscopic characteristics. So once na napag-match na natin ang dalawang specimen, pagsasamahin natin siya para magmukha siyang parang iisa lang. So that's the term is called intermarriage comparison. So dito yung makikita nyo sa right side of my slide. So ito yung intermarriage. So napakahalaga ng equipment na ito. Ito yung hindi pwedeng mawala sa isang laboratory for firearms identification. So next, stereoscopic microscope. Stereoscopic microscope is also used to orient and determine the relative distribution of class characteristics. So it is also used in the close-up examination of tampered serial number of firearms. So in 19th century, it was introduced by Francis Herbert Wenham, and the first modern stereoscopic microscope was introduced in the United States by Cycloptic. So hindi lang siya ginagamit sa firearms identification, but also ginagamit din siya sa firearm, sa fingerprint and all other fields such as question document, yung stereoscopic. Next, number 3. So shadow graph. Shadow graph is similar to the stereoscopic microscope to determine and orient the class characteristics. So the instrument contain a large circular ground glass and diameter about 14 inches, so isang ruler. So pwede nating ipagkumpara yung mga individual and class characteristics one by one, hindi siya simultaneous. Next, number 4, CP6 comparison projector. So similar with the bullet comparison microscope, which two paired bullet can be compared simultaneously. So yung CP6 comparison projector ay pwede nating gamitin ng tinatawag natin na juxtaposition or intermarriage. So this instrument was invented by William Howard Levens, na isang engineer sa British Army. So ginagamit din not only on the bullet comparison but also on fingerprint, and all other document analysis. Next, bullet recovery box. So, meron din tayo dyan na bullet recovery box para makapag-obtain tayo ng test-fired bullets or test-fired shells. So, the comparison of the bullet, yung ating makukuhang specimen na standard, yun yung galing sa bullet recovery box. So, ang bullet recovery box ay usually may lamang cotton, sometimes water tank, sodas with oil, sand, waste threads, darak, banana trunks, or rubber strips. And it is separated by cardboards. So, bakit kailangan separated by cardboards? It's because para makita natin agad yung bullet kung saan pumunta, kung hanggang saan lang siya tumagos dun sa mga cardboard na inilagay natin sa bawat partition. So next, helixometer. So helixometer is used to measure the pitch of riflings or the inclination of the lance and grooves. Yung pagkaka-slant niya. Gaano yung degree or angle ng slant ng barrel. So, ginagamit ito para makita natin yung accuracy ng isang barrel depende doon sa haba ng barrel. So, sa mga highly advanced laboratory lang ito natin maaring makita. Pero sa atin dito sa Pilipinas, hindi naman to nire-require na dapat meron. So, it was invented by John Fisher. So, micrometer or caliper, ito naman ay ginagamit natin para masukat yung diameter, bore diameter, barrel length. Yung micrometer, ang pwede niya lang sukatin ay outside diameter. Yun namang caliper, pwede niya sukatin yung inside diameter and outside diameter. So, analytical or torsion balance. Ito naman, ginagamit natin sa pagtitimbang lang ng mga bala, pulbura, so basyo, para ma-compare natin yung kanilang weight. Onoscope. So ito ay ginagamit to examine the internal surface of the gun barrel. Makikita dyan yung tinatawag natin na presence of gun residues, katulad ng mga nitrates and nitrites. Taper gauge, same lang din ito to measure naman ang inside diameter. Kanina, yung isa na kung binanggit sa inyo, caliper, inside and outside, pwede niyang sukatin. Ito naman taper gauge, ang limitation niya, pwede niya lang sukatin ang inside diameter. Next, scanning electron microscope. Ito ay isang computer system na ini-scan niya yung barrel kung ma-assess niya kung gaano nakatagal last na pumutok itong barrel na ito. So, although sa chemistry talaga ito nire-require, pero pwede natin gamitin ito sa gunpowder residue analysis. Electric gun marker or stylus, ginagamit pang sulat para magkaroon ng markings ang specimen. So, even the barrel, even the basyo, the bala, lahat yan lalagyan ng markings. Next, chronograph. Ang chronograph ay ginagamit para masukat ang bilis ng bala. Invented by Alfred Lee Loomis. Pillar micrometer eyepiece. Ito naman ay ginagamit para makuha ang width of the lance and grooves mark. So, ibig sabihin, pwedeng makuha ang lapad ng lance and grooves inside the gun barrel. Next, bullet puller. Ito yung ginagamit para makalas ang bala. Computerized comparison microscope. Ito naman, katulad ng una kong binanggit sa inyo kanina, meron tayong tinatawag na bullet comparison microscope. Ito naman, kinabitan lamang ng computer. So, ito yung latest innovation sa mga technology and equipment na ginagamit sa firearms identification. So that's all for this chapter. So the next will be chapter 3.